Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles.
My name is Kirk.
The 2025 NFL Draft is in the books. Our studio audience here of just one cat, Abby.
Place goes wild. We got a whole Green Bay audience.
It's a whole Lambeau Field is filled up. Half of Lambeau Field is filled up.
Watching us on the big screen.
Yeah. Man.
It was cool to have it in Green Bay.
I thought it was cool too.
Yeah.
That would have been a good one to go to because they got the museums there and stuff. It's kind of like an honorary Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Old school, kind of small townish. Like, just, I don't know. Something about it was nice.
I will say this, and not to just like derail it right off the spot, but James Jones, Amon Green, Clay Matthews, the Packers couldn't do better than that for their honor. I mean, it should be Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and like the widow of Bart Starr or something. But, they're a historic franchise. We got James Jones out there.
Yeah. But people don't really like Brett Favre right now, or Aaron Rodgers right now.
Or the widow of Bart Starr in notoriously hot water.
Always in the tabloids.
Oh, that's a good point. There's some definitely TV considerations about those guys.
James Jones was the best they had.
Oh, man. Clay Matthews had me scared at the beginning with, I got a message from Donald Trump. And you could tell the audience was like even the crowd was like, oh. And the Bears still suck. And I was like, okay,
that's good.
I feel like he is a Trump supporter, but that was a good joke.
Yeah,
that was funny.
Perfectly fine.
That puckered all of ESPN up.
Yeah.
They were, oh no.
But,
he's like,
but Green Bay roast in Chicago makes perfect sense to me.
It's
so,
absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into the draft here.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a structure that is specifically designed to give some love to Cam Ward.
Yeah.
We're going to start with Cam Ward.
Yeah, the guy nobody talked about the entire draft pretty much.
And then we'll kind of follow the first round a little bit, and then we'll give a 10 to 15-minute rant. We'll froth at the mouth about Sheduer Sanders at the end.
Oh, yeah.
But Cam Ward, I mean, he deserves some talk. He's the first overall pick of the draft, quarterback for Miami, drafted by Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
Number one overall. Even after his pick, they were talking about Sheduer Sanders.
It's unbelievable. I can't remember a time that a number one pick, especially quarterback number one pick, maybe if it's like an offensive tackle, people forget about it.
Right.
But that's how he's getting treated.
Yeah.
Like just some no-name
like
whatever.
Mitchell Schwartz.
Yeah. We all hyped up Caleb Williams, Bryce Young,
Trevor Lawrence,
Kyler Murray, Burrow. I mean, like, even Mayfield was, in that draft, like.
Do you think it's
just under the radar? Just the first pick of the draft.
Yeah.
The future. Like,
there's a couple things happening. And I promise we'll talk about Cam Ward. But there's a couple things happening to his. First of all, he didn't start the draft process as the number one overall pick. Yeah. A lot of people said Abdul Carter was kind of like the default number one pick when we first kind of the Super Bowl ended and everyone started looking at the draft.
Yeah.
But that's not dissimilar to Bryce Young's year either. Bryce Young's year, Jalen Carter was the first overall pick until we started going.
Troubles, yeah.
But also, Cam Ward entered the draft last year, or declared his intent to enter the draft, and then saw he wasn't getting any publicity, wasn't going to be a first rounder. He was a Coug, Washington State Cougar at that time, went back to college, did his Miami thing. So there's kind of like almost like an old news about him too.
Yeah. But he didn't fit in with the last year with the 6 quarterbacks going in the top 12. Like, he was one of the left out.
He probably would have been 7th, basically.
And it's just been such a down hype on this year's draft and their crop.
Yeah.
But,
that's been a big story.
But I'm like, Tennessee needs a quarterback. They need to rebuild. I think Cam Ward's smart. I think he's decent in the pocket.
Yeah, I watched him and I came away pretty impressed.
Yeah.
I was ready to Bo Nix him, because okay, 5th year guy. It's his 5th year starting. Of course, he looks okay, but he is toolsy. I mean, he has a rocket arm.
Yeah,
and I think the fact that he played like so many different schemes across
Helps.
those colleges. He played I don't remember what it was before Washington State, but
yeah.
it was like a AAA school or something.
Just kept working his way up.
But he played with multiple coaches and stuff, and it just seems like this is a guy who's ready to just give it a go in the NFL. More than anybody I can think of.
Oh, yeah. It definitely should have been the number 1 pick. I'm glad Tennessee went with him instead of somebody more risky. And didn't give Will Levis another year.
Yeah, we're done with Will Levis.
Yes, you're gone. Well, he's probably still on the roster, but you're gone.
The other element of Cam Ward just kind of being not a big topic on Thursday is that we all knew this was the pick.
Yeah.
Did you see that he was 8-9 days before the draft? Cam Ward was on a podcast, and they asked him to name his top 5 NFL receivers, and he included Calvin Ridley.
Whoa, okay.
And then he was asked to name his top 4 Titans, or type 4 running backs, and he included Titans Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears.
Oh, man.
In the top 4.
Of all time?
So that's a man who knows he's going to Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Not of all time, of the current.
Of the current
players.
Still ridiculous.
It's still ridiculous.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say there's this pause in the... where he's looking at the depth chart. He knows he's going to Tennessee. He's pulling up the app.
Top running
I think,
back.
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah. I think that's my number 1.
But the lack of drama definitely played a part to the fact that we were just kind of moving off of Cam Ward so quick.
It was lack of drama, the lack of the quarterback class. They're like, we had all the quarterbacks last year, you know, so that there wasn't that hype. And then also just Tennessee. Yeah. Tennessee isn't the big splash, you know. You're right. They're just we're like, okay, AFC South, whatever, you know. Yeah. It was kind of that as well.
I do agree with that.
But I mean, I think he's got tools. Usually when I'm judging quarterback play, are there highlights, actual NFL type passes? Right. Is he just scrambling out and throwing a bomb? Yeah. All of those are gone for me. I don't even count those as highlight plays.
Every NFL worthy quarterback has got bombs in college.
Yeah. You got a college DB that's never going to make the NFL. You threw a bomb on him and it ended up being a catch.
Guys,
that's
8
nothing.
yards of separation.
But just pocket presence. He went through progressions on some of the things I saw. Yeah. And he had talent around him. Yeah. It wasn't sitting back there for 4 or 5 seconds and then throwing the ball. That stuff I liked. I think he'll transition well. Yeah. And he definitely has the opportunity. Yeah, I think they're all in on him.
Yeah, he's a decent prospect, but even the fact that the way we're talking about him right now is not the way we talked about Trevor Lawrence or Caleb Williams. Right. It's just he's got a chance to be good, but he learned those schemes. I think that's good. And he's going to wear number 1. Okay. Warren Moon showed up at his press conference and said, "Hey, we're going to unretire number 1 for you." Okay. And my first thought was, "What the hell's Warren Moon doing in a Tennessee Titan?" He was never a Tennessee Titan, but he was a Houston Oiler,
which is technically Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, so it's just confusing.
Still, it's of course you can give that number up. You don't care. You are a Houston Oiler.
Right. Yeah. So do you think Titans are making the playoffs this year, or how pumped are you?
I mean, AFC South is always kind of a crapshoot. Yeah. I like how underrated it is right now. Mm-hmm. So I do think they're gonna have a decent record. I mean, maybe it's not. They'll be 500 or a little bit below.
Yeah, I'm giving them a little go. Yeah. I'm giving them a little go in the AFC South.
I like it because just so under the radar for how. And I love it when the media isn't focused on a team. Yeah. I think they're just going to give them a chance. Yeah.
This is the most that any podcast has talked about Cam Ward.
Right? You just skip over. First was Cam Ward, and then we just move on to the next pick.
Yeah. But, yeah. Because the next pick is the biggest. It's the second biggest story in the draft, probably.
Yeah. But I think Cam Ward will be all right. Yeah. I'm obviously gonna have to see him play a few games to really get used to how he does it. Yeah. But I think he's gonna be just fine. I think he'll be an NFL quarterback for a good while. He's gonna do better than anything Tennessee has had since Steve McNair, probably.
Yeah, people are comparing him to McNair a bit, his play style.
Air McNair?
Yeah.
Maybe he should have went with Air McNair's number instead of Warren Moon.
Agreed. Yeah. The number 2 pick, the Jaguars make the blockbuster trade into the second pick with the Cleveland Browns. They give up next year's first, and then kind of swap some other picks.
Yeah, a second and a third or something like that.
For a 4th and a 6th. It's pretty much moving up twice in this draft and giving away next year's first.
Yeah.
So that's what Cleveland paid to go up 3 spots.
Or Jacksonville paid to go up 3 spots.
What Jacksonville paid to go up 3 spots. And they take Travis Hunter, wide receiver / DB from Colorado.
Yeah.
Heisman winner.
One thing I loved about it is I did not see that coming at all.
Me neither.
Yeah. It was almost just chalked. Browns have Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
The same way we were talking about Cam Ward, it just seemed like number 2, Hunter to the Browns.
Yeah. It would. Yeah, I jokingly said, okay, it's going to be Ward, Tennessee, Hunter, Cleveland, Carter, New York, and then the draft will start.
Yeah.
But
and I think
the boom.
If you're going to go from 5 to 2, I think that's a reasonable price that they paid, giving up the future first rounder.
Okay.
So that
I was going to ask you about the price, because a lot of people are harping on that the Browns, or I'm sorry, I got to get this right. It's so often that the Browns are the ones overpaying.
They'll probably both be in the top 5 next year.
Yeah.
So
The Jaguars paid such a ransom for a non-quarterback is what people are criticizing.
Yeah. And I get that. But it's the 2nd overall pick. They're saying it's a generational talent. I feel like you had to throw in a future first.
Yeah.
This was better than what Carolina did to move up
from 8 to 1,
8
whatever.
to 1
yeah,
to
price,
with the Bears. So they're definitely a better price than that.
Yeah.
So I'm not as mad as everybody else seems to be about the price here. Yeah.
Me neither. I was really okay with the price because they have Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
So it kind of is like, if Travis Hunter is a superstar, if this is really there's really only one superstar, maybe 2 superstars in this draft. That's the whole storyline. It's not a great to high ceiling draft, or that at least was possible to evaluate. If Hunter can turn Trevor Lawrence into a more productive quarterback, then you kind of have gotten the quarterback for that price.
Yeah.
And plus, like, this time of year, a first next year is like gold, like diamonds shining on the field, because we're talking about picks after draft capital. This is all we're talking about.
Right.
No one will care. No one will care. We already don't care about Deshaun Watson, the first rounds that the Browns used or that the Texans used for Deshaun Watson. We don't even care.
Yeah. Or when the Texans traded up for Will Anderson, gave all those picks to the Cardinals. Nobody remembers any of that.
Yeah.
It just, you forget about it. By the time it gets to the next draft, you're like, oh, yeah, duh.
It's all predicated on whether the player becomes a star or not.
Yeah.
If it's a star, it's worth it. If he's a star, it's worth it. If he's not, I was like...
And I guess that's the thing about Travis Hunter that I'm concerned with.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, one, I'm glad he went to the Jags rather than the Browns. So that's that's an upgrade.
That's good for everyone, including the NFL.
But I feel like you're talking about him more as a receiver.
I am.
Than a DB.
Okay. So what do you think's going to happen?
Logistically, just thinking about it as a coach, it sounds like a nightmare.
Do you think they're going to actually let him do like the Ohtani thing here and play both sides?
See, it's Jacksonville and they need a star. So I'm like,
okay.
They're like, I think they will try him both sides, especially early on.
Oh,
but I don't think it'll work. I think he has to go to receiver.
I agree. I'm just assuming that's going to happen. I mean, what's one of the cliches of the NFL? Every DB would play receiver if they could catch.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you got to go to receiver.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think they will try him on defense. But I'm also another cliche by the middle of the season, everybody's hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
You play him on defense. How well is he going to be playing on offense if he's playing both sides? This isn't college.
No.
I get that he could pull it off then.
Yeah.
But like everybody's dinged up.
Yeah.
And do you want a dinged up receiver out there running those routes, or do you want just Travis Hunter at his best receiver? Then it's game plans every week.
Yeah.
Who's he sitting with? Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator? Is he with the DB coach or the wide receiver coach? Like, is he just going to flip flop that all the time?
Yeah. With the level of technique and like just grind that there is in the NFL, I don't think the mental part of it is really going to be very easy as the physical.
Because I haven't seen anybody really pull this off besides maybe Deion Sanders and Devin Hester.
Yeah, but they came in for special packages.
Exactly. So I was like, if he's going to be DB, maybe they just put him in special packages, but that's obvious when he comes on the field. They're throwing routes. He ain't blocking.
Yeah, exactly. Don't let folks who are not as old as us, don't let Deion Sanders try to whitewash the pass and pretend he was a two-way player. Yeah, he came in like one play a quarter on offense, maybe.
Go check out his receiving stats.
Yeah, check his snaps out.
Yeah, see how many he actually got.
Mostly a decoy anyway.
I know. So I think you play him as receiver. My only issue is the Jaguars, I feel like ownership doesn't want to do that.
Oh,
I think they traded up and they're like, we got 2 players in one. I like ownership and the coaching. I feel like have a divide on where this is gonna be eventually.
Yeah, I could see like because it's kind of like a sell tickets thing. They're like Ohtani. I already mentioned Ohtani. They think
that's what they keep.
We got the guy who's going to change the thing, but the GM did come out and say they're going to try him at receiver, ease him into defensive back.
Okay,
which I feel like is just the stepping stone to he's working out as receiver. Thank God.
Yeah,
I hope.
And let's all remember that Ohtani pitched a couple years.
Yep.
Yes, he was a great pitcher. And then he's not really pitching anymore. He's hitting all the time.
Right.
You kind of have to choose a side at some point.
Very true.
But
very true.
My only worry is how the Jaguars will actually handle him. Will they actually push him into both sides?
Yeah.
To me, go offense. Just put him on offense. Put him with Brian Thomas. Put him with Lawrence. Mm-hmm. Let him be the spark that you want to. If you put him on defense, he's not going to give you that spark. He's just another deep. I mean, sure, maybe he's a lockdown corner, but you don't see him as much on the field.
Yeah.
Let him make some splash plays. Let him learn the routes. Let him get used to Lawrence. And then you can, if you want to, sure, throw him in some zone packages, some nickel packages, some dime packages. Yeah. And people will be like, oh, that's okay. Cool. Whatever.
Yeah.
But he should be used for offense.
Yeah, that's where the value is.
He is more a receiver than a corner, in my opinion.
Score a touchdown, and then you don't have to play defense.
Yeah, right.
Because you got some time off. Yeah. Like, it's not like basketball. You can just be a scorer.
Yeah, and it's not like baseball. I mean, like, they're comparing him to Ohtani. I'm like, I mean, if you watch a baseball game and a football game, physically, football going to wear you down.
Exactly. Fat people play baseball and make millions of dollars.
David Ortiz is a Hall of Famer. The guy was huge.
Pounding brats.
Yeah. Prince Fielder, man. The guy was a monster. But I think I'm with you on the receiver. Please don't try out the corner thing yet. Okay. Like, let's just leave it off to the side.
I think they're gonna do. I think they're gonna do what we're asking them to do here.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the pick. I think you only really had one realistic shot at a superstar in this draft.
Yeah.
And you took him.
Yeah, I like it. And clearly they're all in on Lawrence. They got to go for it now.
Yeah. If they didn't have Lawrence, I'd be much more upset about this pick.
Oh, yeah.
Because as upset as I was going to be if the Browns actually made the pick of Travis Hunter, because it's just a waste.
Yes. Yeah. Because you're like, oh, great. You put him with the rotating quarterback carousel of the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
Like, what's the point?
Right. And good. We'll be talking Browns later, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
Don't trust us. We're getting there. Yeah. So let's keep going through. Well, the third pick, I just want to shout out Abdul Carter to the Giants. We already mentioned he was kind of considered if all positions were equal, he would be the number 1 overall pick.
People are, I don't know, with this pick, they're like, oh, they already have edge rushers. Who cares?
Yeah.
Now they have another good edge rusher. Yeah. That's fantastic.
And look, everyone gets so hurt. Like, remember when the Texans had an embarrassing amount of receivers going into last year, and then we get to the playoffs, they don't have any.
Yeah, right?
You got nobody except Nico.
Yeah.
Stuff like that happens.
Yeah, it's great to have him. Yeah. He's a talent.
So you got one of two things happening here for the Giants. You either roll into competing for a playoff spot and competing in the playoffs with Carter, Thibodeau, who they did sign the 5th-year option seconds after drafting Carter.
Like, don't be mad.
Yeah, Dexter Lawrence. They Brian Burns.
Yeah.
So and they got Ujulari as well. Yeah. So they're either going to go in with that, or they're going to bail themselves out of some brutal injury because they had this premium backup. You know, I don't mind at all. He's the best player, the most safest explosive player in this draft.
Yeah,
Abdul Carter is a beast.
I mean, clearly everybody had him marked as their number 1 prospect. I mean, it was basically him and Hunter. But defensively, clearly the number 1.
The Giants GM needed an easy one.
He needed a win after last year.
He's had a rough year with the Saquon Barkley stuff. Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders, running back from Boise State. Yeah. What'd you think of this one?
I like this.
You like it?
I'm okay with this.
I'm about to rip it. So you go and make your case.
Well, I mean, one thing I like about Pete Carroll is the man loves to run the ball. I guess I like this more from a fantasy perspective than an actual football perspective. I'm like, okay, this guy gonna get his touches. Yep. They needed a spot to fill. They needed other things as well. Mm-hmm. But I like just like putting the pressure on, he's a generational running back, saying he is. We took you at number 6. Yeah. Generally, if you've drafted a running back this early, they generally are pretty dang good. Like Elliott,
gone
Barkley,
pretty well.
I think Fournette was like, but
Bijan.
Yeah. Like they're generally good. They know how to use them. They can use them both receiving and passing. I think that they could have used other spots as well, but I think that this guy is like really, really, really good. I think he's going to find a role with the Raiders. I think Pete Carroll's going to finally put some like calmness to that franchise since it's moved to Vegas. It's just been a carousel of what are we? And I think it's like, Geno, hand the ball off. Throw a couple of checkdowns to Jeanty here, and then let's just play defense.
Well, I acknowledge that the running backs taken in the first 10, are generally successful. Like if you look at the names, they're all good names. But I feel like
but not this guy.
We've gone too many in a row.
Okay.
We've gone too many in a row. We're bound for a Trent Richardson here.
Okay.
Because we had Bijan, we had Saquon, we listed them, Fournette, McCaffrey, they're all been pretty good. There's too many. We're playing a game of blackjack and getting twos here,
or roulette, and you just keep picking red.
hit me. It's like I feel. I don't know.
Just keep betting black. But
Ashton Jeanty has one big difference between those guys. Gurley played Georgia. McCaffrey is Stanford. Yeah. Bijan is what was he? Alabama? No, was he Texas?
Texas. Yeah.
Boise State.
I'll give you that.
He's running through Mountain West people, and then when he finally had a chance to play a really good team in Penn State, they were in a blowout, and he couldn't produce in the blowout to beat the record of Barry Sanders's total yardage record. And now let me absolutely lay into that.
Ooh.
Because this is what I hold against Ashton Jeanty. He should have shut this all down. You are nowhere near Barry Sanders in college. Have some respect. Don't even acknowledge that record. You played 3 more regular season games than Barry Sanders, and you were still 131 yards short. Then you get to a bowl game where your bowl stats are going to count, and for some reason Barry Sanders' 222 yards in his bowl game doesn't count.
Yeah.
You're actually 300 yards past or below Barry Sanders in 3 more games. Don't even acknowledge. It's so ridiculous. It's insane.
And playing for Boise State.
Where Barry Sanders at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
It's nowhere close. But they're like, and he came, even on the broadcast, like Jeanty came within a hair of breaking Barry Sanders' yardage record. It's like, well, no, he didn't. He didn't.
I'll give you that. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. If anybody,
and maybe I shouldn't hold that against Jeanty, is your point?
No,
but I'm holding it against him.
I think you should hold it against him. Okay. If anybody mentions you anywhere within the Hall of Famers, Barry Sanders, Jerry Rice, like if anybody, whatever position you're playing,
you got to put water on that.
And they compare you to a Hall of Famer, you say, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. Yeah. I'm just a guy from college.
I'm playing in Idaho, bro.
Yeah. I got a blue field.
I got a blue field.
Right?
Don't throw Barry Sanders at me. Yeah. You got to douse that with water.
Yeah. I agree with that. I don't know. I like the fit. I think if he went to a different team, I'd be less excited about him. But the fact that he's with the Raiders and they don't have offensive weapons, like special guys, like we're like Jacoby Myers, like I think, and Brock Bowers, like you need another guy. And I think Jeanty's gonna get the opportunity. I can't wait to see what he actually does. He could be absolutely dreadful, and just have his lumps and get hurt this first season. But the hope is like he fits in there in a Pete Carroll scheme. Mm-hmm. Next year they draft some linemen and just let him get going from there. Because even like Barkley and didn't get off to a great start. I don't think like.
And I mean. I'm against this. You sound like you're at like a B+ sort of type of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe fantasy. I can see some of that volume wise, and we know the coach, so we know he's going to get the ball. That's valuable.
Yeah.
But I just I don't like. You need a passing game to be able to run the ball in the NFL. I feel like we're overreacting to the Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry stuff. Running backs matter again, is what we're saying. But can I introduce you to 2023 Saquon Barkley and 2023 Derrick Henry? That wasn't that long ago, and they sucked, and their teams sucked.
Yeah,
and they were the same player in their primes, and their teams sucked. Yeah. It's not like. How about put some respect on Lamar Jackson's name? How about put some respect on Jalen Hurts and the best offensive line in the league? And that is what brought those running backs out. I mean, I'm just going back into my free agency rant here now.
You do hate running backs. I do. You are not a running back.
We got to get off of Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah, I think
I'm against.
He's valuable. The draft is weaker this year, so I like the pick. You needed a weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's not the answer.
Okay.
It's like some people are making him out to be.
Yeah.
Like, Raiders are fixed.
Yeah,
they got to run it back. I'm not that.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah. I was worried how positive you were going to go.
I'm not up there. Fantasy
wise,
B- sounds right to me. Like team wise.
Keep going through. Just a shout out to the wide receiver Teteora McMillan out of Arizona that the Carolina Panthers drafted.
Yeah,
I just want to shine some light on. If you told us in October the Panthers had an 8th overall pick and had no consideration for quarterback, how surprised we'd all be. Did Bryce Young do enough at the end of the year to just turn this thing around?
That's what they're saying.
Do you think that?
No,
I don't.
I mean, I think it was all fluke. They're playing garbage games at that point.
Teams overlooking them. I mean,
the fact that he was playing mediocre football was finally like,
it was
great.
Seen,
we have a quarterback.
It was seen in like a magical light because he looked like he was like a Johnny Manziel.
Yeah,
but. He came back and did okay.
Yeah.
If Spencer Rattler had done that same exact thing, we wouldn't even care.
Right. But he's the number 1 overall pick, Bryce Young. Yeah.
But this could be a prospect thing, too. Like, if they don't like anybody, why not give Bryce Young one more chance? Because that was improvement.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe there's more where that comes from.
The last 2 years, they have been all in on let's get Bryce Young everything he can get.
Yeah.
They gave away Burns. They're drafting receivers,
I don't mind that.
Running backs. Yeah. They are just like full on, let's be an offensive team. They have sold out on defense. They want the offense.
It's just amazing. The Panthers were the walking punchline of October, and we just kind of passed over them today.
Yeah.
Or on Thursday. It's like,
I mean, it's kind of
they drafted a receiver for Bryce Young.
Yeah. And everyone's fine with it. The biggest thing I see with McMillan is he's tall, so Bryce Young will be able to see him.
And I'm like, hey, know your strengths, know your weaknesses.
I'm like, it makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I hope he does all right, but I mean, I still think Bryce Young is not the guy.
Yeah, me too. Let's see.
Bears with the tight end.
Bears with Colston Loveland out of Michigan 10. That was over Tyler Warren, who's generally most people's tight end 1.
I mean, to me, me with tight ends is you and running backs.
Okay.
Tight end don't win you nothing. They're just getting overrated. Travis Kelce had some great years. Oh, George Kittle's the guy on the Niners. They're just building up. Every tight end that's been drafted early has always sucked. I'm thinking Kyle Pitts.
Eric Ebron.
TJ Hawkinson. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm looking at. Colston Loveland, is this what the Bears needed? Because all I saw with Caleb Williams last year is he had 1.5 seconds to throw the ball. So unless Loveland knows how to run a 1.5 second curl route, it ain't going to help very much.
He could be blocking.
Draft a lineman. What are you guys doing?
Okay.
Good Lord. I know you got some in free agency, but I don't like just picking the tight end. They should have just taken another lineman and been like, let's just solidify Caleb Williams.
Yeah. They did a lot for line in free agency, though. But just, you mean keep building depth.
Just keep building depth. Your future is Caleb Williams. You got DJ Moore. You got Roman Dunze.
Yeah. Loveland, and then they went for
I think I went
Burden.
Receiver. Yeah,
Burden the burner, who I did want the Seahawks to take, by the way. I'm just admitting that now. I wanted a burner. So did Dad. We were watching who wanted him, but
a little disappointing, but
at least they're they did the offensive line in the free agency. They got weapons in the draft. You can squint your eyes and say maybe it's going to be better for Caleb Williams this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really care about the tight end pick either.
I don't like either. I mean, like, they just keep talking up these tight ends like they're the bee's knees and they're going to fix programs. I'm like, I don't know.
Packers drafted a receiver for the first time in 20-something years. They skipped Aaron Rodgers' entire career.
And they're like, you know what? Let's help Jordan Love out.
Yeah. And it was in Green Bay where the crowd got to go nuts.
Right.
That was like wrestling style. Were you watching the broadcast when he got picked?
I missed it.
So Matthew Golden gets picked. He's there, and he's like coming through the tunnel, and you just go back, go. I got goosebumps. Right? And they did like this aerial shot of Lambeau Field, and it was just like, oh, dude, this guy better be good.
All right. He's got a lot of pressure.
Yeah. And unfortunately, he was kind of like he could be a wide receiver too type of prospect, which the Packers, that's all they have. Jalen Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Watson. Yeah. Tavian Wicks. Like, they just got a big stew with a bunch of wide receiver twos.
Yeah. And they're making Golden be like, oh, he'll be the number one guy.
I just don't think that's him.
I don't
that's
either.
Not this guy.
I don't either. But he is another weapon.
Yeah.
I don't really
know. Matt LaFleur. LaFleur with a bunch of weapons. I can get behind that.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
You know, I like the pick because there wasn't really anything else that Green Bay really needed. Mm-hmm. So let's get receivers because they lost them all last year, and that's why they lost in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that. I like the Chargers and their running back pick. I think that was smart.
Okay.
Harbaugh drafting a running back is thumbs up to me.
Yeah. And they've got offensive line pieces to go ahead and spend on the running back now.
Yeah.
Something the Raiders don't have, which is I forgot to mention. That's a big piece of it for me.
Running back with a bad offensive line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do the offensive line first, then the running back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else in the first round before we start talking?
I think besides Jackson Dart getting...
we'll roll Jackson Dart into the next conversation about quarterbacks.
Yeah. Oh, Falcons trading too much for the two edge rushers.
Oh, yeah. So
that was stupid.
What was that? So they drafted...
So they drafted
Jalen Walker.
15.
And then they trade back
to pick 26
for James Pierce.
And gave up a future first.
For an edge at the end of the first round.
Yeah. It was a really bad trade.
That's baffling.
I don't get it. And like even the trade before is the Jackson Dart. The Giants didn't give up a first round pick to get back in the first round.
Oh, that's bad.
And then the next pick, the Falcons are like, well, let's give up a first rounder for this year's, seventh edge rusher.
It's like
I'm like, I don't know, man.
I don't know either.
Too much,
especially with the Falcons with so much uncertainty. That could be a very early pick.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of into the Falcons this year, but it could still go wrong.
You can tell they're like, we need to get sacks because were so bad this last 2 years. They spent everything on offense the last 4 years. Yeah. And they're like, let's go all in on edge rushers. And they went a little too far.
Yeah. I mean, do they really know for sure that Pierce is better than some of the edges that were taken in the second round?
Exactly.
That's what always bugs me about it.
Yeah.
Like, look at the past. Yeah. Look at the past and how no one knew anything. Just think about that.
Look at your own past, because you've drafted edge rushers before late like this, and they have blown up and been terrible.
I don't like the GM that's just feeling himself. The Lions did it too. You mentioned the Lions trading up to get the 25th receiver, Tesla guy or whatever.
Gave up 2/3 or something like that to get up to
I evaluate. No one else can, but I can. I'm trading up for my guy.
Yeah, go F yourself.
He would have been there,
right? Just
and if he wasn't, then it wasn't to be. The football god spoke. All right, 32 minutes. Let's talk about Sheduer Sanders.
Oh man, so much talk about him this week,
and really through the journey of the other quarterbacks that were drafted. So we had mentioned Cam Ward was drafted first overall to the Titans, of course,
deservedly so.
And ESPN, all they're talking about is where is Sheduer Sanders going to go. I don't even know if we got highlights. We did, but
I am so glad that he didn't show up to the draft.
Yeah. Well, and why do you think he didn't?
Well, he had to have kind of known.
I feel like he knew, at least on some element, that he can't be there with Travis Hunter sitting in the open air, little back area that they've made around Lambeau Field.
And sit there the entire first round.
And he was ranked pretty low. He pretended to he was a competitor with Cam Ward, but was he?
Yeah.
Was he really? Yahoo had him ranked 41st.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people had him ranked pretty low.
I mean, there weren't people that were top 10. Maybe he'll go to the Saints, that number 9.
Mel Kiper had him the Saints. Most people had him at 21st to the Steelers.
Yeah, that
was the most common one I saw.
I thought that's what it was going to be.
Yeah.
But when Mike Tomlin said no, I was like, uh-oh. If I trust Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not taking this guy. And I'm like, oh boy, I don't know where he's going to go now.
And you make a good point. I think the fact that it was Tomlin saying no at 21 and drafting a defensive tackle when he has no quarterback on the roster and he's skipping this quarterback.
And he's still like, nah.
Yeah.
Hold
probably
my
did have like if you're the Bengals or not Bengals, bad example, Browns or a team or the Saints or somebody and you need a quarterback and Mike Tomlin passed on him when he needs a quarterback, I would just do what Tomlin does.
Yeah.
So there's this.
Everyone's like, Tomlin did what?
Tomlin did what? Oh, yeah. Maybe we shouldn't like. Yeah, we don't like him either.
And then Giants shock the world because they trade up and everyone's like, oh, this is Sanders.
Yeah. They trade up to the 25th. 25th
I think it's 25th. Yeah.
And I thought it was Sanders.
And they're like, Jackson Dart. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, damn.
And that is when it became like what is honestly it's almost like a hate watch. Like there was like some just like Sheduer Sanders is like the epitome of this spoiled rich kid. Deion Sanders is such a jerk.
Oh, yeah.
And you just kind of loved to see these, like, they tried to fake it till they make it. They didn't do the combine. They didn't do anything. Deion, his dad is his agent.
Yeah.
He thinks the best show on television is his dad's prime time show. Sheduer Sanders thinks he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
He ends his comments with legendary. He had a draft party that looks like a rich 12-year-old's birthday party.
Yep. And the media just beat the crap out of this guy. Him falling out of the first round, that in between, it seems like we spend half the time talking about the actual picks and half the time bashing Sanders.
Yeah. I genuinely don't know if ESPN talked about Jackson Dart at all.
No, yeah.
And talk about missing a moment. Throwing a dart at a quarterback. This guy's bored for this.
Right?
He could have talked about you're just throwing a dart late in the first round. He was born for that pun. And they didn't even do it. They're just talking about Sheduer.
I know. And they just ruined it for him.
They showed Sheduer's hats.
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
There's like 20,
legendary, and there's all these hats. Yeah.
But not 32 hats. So I could not help but laugh at this. There are 20 hats there. There's a 5x4 thing. One of them is the Bills. Someone thought that the Bills were like, you know what?
I mean, Allen's been good, but he can't get us to the Super Bowl.
He just can't beat the Chiefs. We need Sheduer.
Going Sheduer. Somebody told him that, and he put that up there on purpose.
But it really became the story of that first night. And I think the narrative from people like you and I, or from football people, was this wasn't that surprising that he didn't get drafted in the first round.
No,
I mean
this was a media miss.
Yeah,
like I was like,
exactly,
that's fine, whatever.
If
you guys rated him that high,
yes.
There was other quarterbacks there. You've been telling us it's not a great quarterback class the whole time.
You have, and he's one of the quarterbacks,
right?
And if you're projecting him at 21, I mean that's Kenny Pickett territory.
Yeah,
that's like a Paxton Lynch, Jordan Love,
Johnny Manziel,
like
Tim Tebow.
That's not where you would never put an elite quarterback and seriously mock him at 21st overall and expect and be surprised that he fell out of the first round. That itself doesn't make any sense. But day two,
that's when the shock came in.
I
was like, holy crap.
We start with freaking Trump weighing in.
Right.
Daddy Deion pulls a string. This is what Deion thinks works.
Yeah.
All that we have to do is have, our God King freaking president and try not to go off the rails on hating Trump here. Because obviously we don't like him, but let's not talk about it right now.
Yeah.
But
so that's a whole different thing.
Are the NFL owners stupid?
Yeah.
And I feel like that, maybe like, don't you dare try to bully us. Because you knew that's Deion. Deion pulled the string. He's probably a donor for Donald Trump. Most rich people are.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like they were like, you don't tell us what to do.
Yeah.
Because stuff really hits the fan when pick 40 comes up and the Saints take Tyler Shuck.
Oh, yeah. That's when everything, I was like, oh my God, this is for real. Because I figured I'd just wake up, I'd see, the second round would start and be like, okay, it'll happen.
I thought someone would trade up to take him.
Somebody will get him.
I was worried we did.
Yeah.
When we traded it, Seahawks trade, by the way, we're Seahawks fans.
Yes.
Seahawks traded in that third pick of the second round. I was like, oh God, don't tell me we're taking Sheduer.
Oh yeah, I was nervous about it. Yeah. But yeah, I like your theory of NFL owners are like, no, don't tell us what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what does Trump know about football anyways? Like
nothing. He bankrupted a USFL team. Yeah. The whole league.
It's like, come on.
Watch the documentary. Who killed the USFL? There's an answer. It's Donald Trump.
Right.
Watch the documentary. It's just way before he's even running for president.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, so, I mean, he doesn't know anything about quarterbacks. He just knew a name and he knew Dion, and Dion called it in. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. That's probably exactly what happened.
I think, you don't tell us what to do.
But Shuck comes into the Saints and everything blew up and you're like, holy smokes. His name's Shuck and it is not spelled Shuck and it should be spelled Shuck. They should change that on his jersey.
And this guy is the ultimate. Like, he was a 7-year senior. This guy backed up Justin Herbert in college for 2 years.
Right.
Justin Herbert's about to play his 6th year.
But I like the pick from the Saints because they need a guy with some experience in football because we're not sure about Carr on his shoulder.
Yeah. This kind of is Derek Carr, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it.
Let's just kind of throw a guy that at least kind of knows what he's doing in case we need him in the beginning of the season. I thought it's smarter than taking the risk on a different person.
Yeah, especially since you're going to need him early. And there's always been something weird about this Derek Carr situation, so there's more to come on that.
Yeah, it's been a lingering problem.
Something's going on. Yeah.
But then after the Saints take one, you're thinking,
yeah,
who needs a quarterback now? You're basically you're thinking Steelers. The Seahawks are kind of in there, with the backup to Darnold.
And it's all we're talking about.
You're thinking Raiders maybe, like
Sheduer Sanders falling down the board. They did not have the cameras in there for day 2.
Oh yeah.
And when did you realize that he was going to fall out of day 2? Because
the fact that he made it to round 3, and I was like, nobody's going to take him. Like that was it. Like the Shuck pick, and then when the Seahawks finally took Milroe, and I was like, and I was like, I don't know if he's going to be a 5th or a 6th rounder. Like
Milroe and Dylan Gabriel, I believe they were back to back. Browns taking Dylan Gabriel, or which one was first here? Let's find it on my board.
Oh man, the Browns! I can't. Oh god.
We'll talk about the Browns.
Oh, the Browns.
Okay, it wasn't back to back. It was close. Milroe is the 92nd pick. So, and Gabriel's
right after
94th pick.
Yeah,
that is the point at which it started to get about football. That's the point at which we start talking about why is this happening?
What's wrong? What did they see?
There's no way someone could say Dylan Gabriel's better than Sheduer Sanders. I'm not saying Sanders is a perfect prospect or even a good prospect, but Dylan Gabriel sucks.
Yeah.
He ain't going nowhere.
Well, that's why the Browns took him.
Dylan Gabriel, it's like Stetson Bennett. Why are you even drafting him?
Yeah.
Something.
It's like, at least the Alabama guy, that's the ones the Seahawks took.
Milroe.
He's got potential. He's got the athleticism. He's definitely more of a scramble quarterback and a rushing quarterback than he is. But he'll figure it out underneath the system this year.
I would agree. Milroe is much more typical of a 3rd round pick. He is the athletic freak who, if he could figure out the passing game, and maybe he will, then that's a home run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good risk reward.
Yeah, good risk. But Gabriel's got no risk reward. The Browns doing that was absolutely baffling.
Yeah.
And the conversation turns to, why is this happening? Why do you think this was happening? Why are the teams? Do you think it's just the Trump tweet?
It could be if we want to go
the Tomlin copycat.
Oh, to me, it's more Tomlin than Trump. But it can go either way. I think just the fact that he brings the attention that he brings. By the time you get here and you're like Sanders, everybody's writing him up as he's going to start. So then training camp comes around and you're like, oh, QB battle now.
Yeah.
So it was the attention. By the time he dropped far enough and the teams that had actually evaluated him and said, we're going to need a quarterback this year.
Yeah.
They said no.
Yeah.
They picked Dart. They picked Shuck.
Yeah. So no one's in a position to draft him as an even feasible starter.
He's going to be a backup. And you're just at that point, you're like, I don't want the attention.
Yeah.
Why bring the circus to your town?
Yeah, for the backup quarterback.
Right.
And I think he straight up told teams that he's not going to be a backup.
Exactly.
He seems like he lives in a bubble. And I feel like some teams maybe, a lot of people have painted Sheduer as a horrible person. And he is he is a jerk. Yeah. Actually, he's a straight up jerk. He throws his offensive lineman on the bus, mocks the other team, and mocks former teammates in an unpleasant way.
Yeah.
But also, I think some of the teams had some kind of sad feeling of, when this guy gets to real life, this is really going to suck for him. I don't think he's going to be able to take the feedback, and I think he's gonna like shatter.
I mean,
I think that's part of it.
That's where he's at right now because we just told him in the draft. All 32 teams just told him we don't want to deal with you.
So this brings me to what I think happened, because we're talking about Dylan Gabriel, talking about the Browns. The Browns then take him in the 5th round the next day.
Yeah.
And here's what I think happened. Here's what I hope happened for Sheduer Sanders' sake. Sheduer Sanders called without daddy and said, hey,
please.
I think he said, hey, I'm going to work. I'm going to try and make the team. I'm going to work hard. I'm not going to post a bunch of videos and stuff like that. And the Browns are like, okay, that's why we drafted Dylan Gabriel. So teach you, no cameras. You come in here, you just work hard. You know, you threw for a lot of yards in college. You know, you deserve a shot in the NFL. I think that's what happened. That's what I hope happened anyway.
Okay. For his sake and having a future in the NFL.
Yeah.
I hope that's what happened.
Nothing that he has said or done has necessarily shown that or supports that.
Yeah. But to me, the team that finally took him, I'm just like, what?
that it's the Browns?
Cleveland? Why? You have Watson already on the payroll for way too much money.
Yeah, and he's not going to play.
You bring in Pickett. You bring back Flacco. You drafted a quarterback in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
And then this is your last pick of the draft. 5th round, your last pick. You need depth, dude. You already traded back saying you need depth. Trade this pick. Don't take a quarterback and get more people. Now you take your 5th quarterback? Why? Friggin' Cleveland, man.
Well, here's
hopefully Sanders goes to Cleveland, gets cut in minicamp, and gets to go play for a different team. Because if he stays in Cleveland, he's toast. I'm done with Cleveland.
Oh yeah,
I can't stand them.
Okay. I disagree with you on this.
Why take a 5th quarterback?
I don't think Flacco, Pickett, Watson, and Gabriel represent any names that can make it to Week 5 of this NFL season. Pickett's toast. Flacco's toast. Watson's not going to play, and Gabriel should never play it down.
They at least get 1 week apiece.
We'll do that. That'll be the plan. The Browns are going to rotate 5 quarterbacks through. Watson's hurt, but who cares? Go for it.
Just full panic. It feels like they're treating the QB position like you would the DB position.
See, I hear those names. I think they don't have anyone. That's funny.
They have them on the payroll.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to give them opportunity. You have to put Pickett in before you put in Sanders or Gabriel. I think
Super Bowl winning quarterback, Kenny Pickett.
But and they'll try Flacco because he's a darling of Cleveland because he played 4 good weeks of football, which also weren't that great of weeks of football.
They weren't that good,
but people overrate that.
Yeah.
And you're paying Watson $40 million a year, so you kind of have to play him.
He's hurt. He's not going to play. I mean,
he'll be back second end of the season, right? I mean, maybe he might milk it anyways.
I feel like he's loving this.
Oh yeah,
thanks for the guaranteed contract. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe not as bad as I thought. They might need 5 quarterbacks. Yeah. They have for the last 3 or 4 years.
Exactly. Okay. We always get to like November 18th. I'm like, who are these people?
Right. So, okay. Maybe I'm wrong on that one.
Yeah, I don't think that he will be good though. Sheduer Sanders. Not to bring it down, but I mean the simplest answer is the best answer. This happened because it's not that good. The teams will they'll overlook anything. Any dad, any presidential pressure, any arrogance,
any sexual misconduct, or, whatever, like a domestic
all
violence,
sorts of crimes,
whatever crimes they're committing.
As it's not embezzlement,
and they'll look over that and they'll still take the
for
guy.
talent. And the simplest answer is the best answer. This is not actually that good of a quarterback.
Yeah,
and Sheduer Sanders doesn't know that. That's what I feel like, just a sense of sadness for him. He doesn't know that he doesn't deserve to compete with Cam Ward. Like I don't think he's aware of that. He's living in this bubble.
Yeah. To me, just him football wise spends too long in the pocket.
Way too long.
Or scrambles out far too quick.
Decisions are late.
Loves throwing a deep ball.
Yeah.
I hardly saw any progressions of 10-yard passes.
Yeah.
Everything was big play or nothing.
Yeah. And you could say that about Caleb Williams. You could say that about Josh Allen. However, Caleb Williams and Josh Allen have metrics that blow Sheduer Sanders's out of the water.
Exactly.
Like night and day. Sheduer Sanders might be a little boy compared to those guys. Like, you don't want to be Caleb Williams without the tools.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to be Josh Allen without the tools.
But Sanders don't know it yet.
He doesn't.
He's going to find out in Cleveland.
Man, what if he is good? That'd be crazy.
Oh, it'd be nuts. He's got, I mean, for motivational fuel, that had to be something.
Yeah.
You know, you fell all the way to the fifth.
He needs to get away from Dion. That's my advice to Sheduer, who's obviously been listening to this entire podcast.
Yeah.
He's listening to all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
One by one.
Now he's just on the Mukilteo Football Show.
Dark in the room. One podcast at a time. What are they saying about me?
But this is what I would say. Get out of Dion.
Yeah.
I saw a clip of Deion Sanders talking to Travis Hunter, and he's saying I ran a 4.2 like every day in practice or whatever. and they were like, and Travis Hunter's like, well, did anyone film it? Can we see it? And Deion says, we didn't need cameras. It's like, you know what? Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
And Travis Hunter, to his credit, says, well, I can watch Muhammad Ali box. I can't watch you run a 4.2.
Yeah.
And Muhammad Ali boxed way before you did.
Right.
So we didn't need camera. Like that type of like fake it till you make it, just BS.
Oh, yeah.
Sheduer needs to get out of that bubble, man.
Yeah. Get rid of that Dion arrogance and just kind of move on.
He's a Nepo baby.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for him, most Nepo babies come out of high school or even into high school. They got a name of a football player. They get humbled quickly. He hasn't. To his credit.
Yeah.
To his credit. He had a successful college career.
Yeah.
So, but the fall is harder.
This is a hard fall.
This might have been one of the craziest storylines of a draft ever.
This was brutal. And honestly, if he was there, it would have been even harder to watch. Like, if he was there first round and then showed up for day 2 as well and sat there the whole time, like, this would have been like the Aaron Rodgers thing, but like times 10. That would have been cruel.
That would have been brutal.
Yeah.
I would have been uncomfortable, honestly, watching that.
Because you know they just would have flashed to him every time.
Whether he was miserable or pretending not to be miserable, either one of them would have been cringe TV.
Yeah. I know, but it was the story of the weekend. I mean, despite all the picks that happened, it was really about Sanders falling.
Yeah, I went to the bar on Friday. That's all we talked about.
Yeah.
On Saturday at the barbecue, even Kathleen, we're talking about Sheduer Sanders.
Kathleen's not a Sheduer fan, so
no, she's not. Everyone loved this from the TV ratings perspective too.
Oh yeah,
like people are like, oh, ESPN's probably so mad. No, ESPN is very, very happy.
Oh, it kept people
very happy. I clicked on a million articles about this.
Yeah. And it kept you interested in round 3.
Yeah. Mel Kiper's frothing at the mouth just until he's just shouting just Johnny Unitas, Dan Moreno, Aaron Rodgers. Like he threw when we got to the second round, he starts talking about all those guys. When we get to the third round, he's dropping Joe Montana.
Oh yeah.
And I knew if we had got to the sixth round, we'd be watching Tom Brady, Sheduer Sanders comparisons. You know we would have been.
There's somebody out there doing that already. Yeah. Yeah. They're just like, oh, well, Brady was taken with the 199th pick. Yeah. And I'm like, well, Sheduer Sanders is not Tom Brady. Quit comparing people to the GOAT. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Something unique happened.
I got to figure out a 6th round pick from like 5 years ago that was a quarterback and be like, is he Tom Brady? Can I compare this guy to Tom Brady? You know, because we've forgotten about all those guys.
Yeah, they all go away. Yeah, they all go away. Yeah. It only counts when it works.
Yeah,
yeah.
But
totally agree.
Yeah. So that's our Sheduer Sanders rip.
Yeah. Any last thoughts on the draft or
just some Seahawks love because we're we're Seattle.
Yeah, let's give a little bit to Seahawks.
I like the guard we took. I'm glad we took an offensive lineman over a receiver early.
Corn-fed boy with a mustache and apparently a real farm in Dakota.
And I heard
South Dakota.
A lot of people were hyping him up.
Yeah.
So they were kind of pissed off when we took him. We needed interior help because obviously Sam Darnold, when things come up the middle, he's going to get sacked. So let's get that solidified as quickly as possible.
He's massive size, seems very athletic.
Yeah.
Seems like a good head on his shoulders. I like this pick.
Yeah.
Gray.
I like that we traded up for the safety. I thought that was,
Yeah. A lot of people said that was one of the best, like, measurable players.
Yeah.
And let's bring him up here so we can shout his name out because I feel like a jerk.
Yeah, I know. But the thing I kept
Nick
hearing.
Emanwari.
Yes. I kept hearing that Mike McDonald got his Hamilton.
Okay, Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we're like, okay, we got that guy.
Good.
Big.
You need that for the scheme.
Gets compared to like Cam Chancellor. Like,
okay.
He's kind of that kind of safety.
Yeah.
He's not like just free roaming Ed Reed back there. He's like a Cam Chancellor. I'm going to hit you in the mouth. I can get up on the line.
Yeah.
And McDonald, clearly defensive minded. I think he knew the guy he wanted.
I agree with you. I'm usually pretty pessimistic about the Seahawks drafts. The only one I liked was Witherspoon, Smith, and Jigba, which is 2022. Yeah. I didn't even like the Russell Wilson pick, I'm not gonna pretend like I did.
Well, we are wrong sometimes.
Sometimes, but I really like this because these are guys who just have those measurables and are in the exact right spots to succeed.
Oh yeah,
like this is the right team at the right time for these like. Superstar type of measurables.
Yeah, I thought it was smart picks. It's like we're building the core. Yeah. If Darnold's not going to work out, we can go try to find a quarterback later, but like we're still giving ourselves a chance.
Yeah.
The tight end, I'm like, whatever. That didn't matter to me. I love the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Let's talk about him now. Out of the Sheduer Sanders conversation, Jalen Milroe, you're into it?
I like it. Okay. Yeah, I think it's good. It's like the opposite of Sam Darnold. Everything he needs to learn is Sam Darnold-esque.
Yeah.
And it's not like Darnold was like he's a terrible runner. Like he still gets the pocket presence when to run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's not quick. Nobody thinks of him for his wheels. He's not Lamar Jackson out there. But Milroe could be. If he figures out how to work the pocket.
He would be a heavy runner early on.
Yeah.
If he has to come in and play, he'll be running a lot.
It's going to be a lot of wildcat with him early on, I think.
Yeah.
But I do think if we need that, we can do that. But, I mean, I like the risk. I think he can learn under Darnold. I think Darnold's a good teacher.
Sports fandom is so weird because I did not like Milroe in college.
Right?
I'm just Alabama. They had so many good quarterbacks for so many good college quarterbacks for so long in a row, and Milroe, they're trying to add him in, and he just wasn't.
Yeah,
can't pass. But he had some great games, especially with his legs. And then we drafted, and I'm just like, he's got a shot. Yeah. Just got to put together the passing profile, and he could be a superstar. It was immediate. Like within the first 45 seconds, I was like, you know what? Milroe could do this.
It's funny. I hadn't even thought about it like that because I did the same friggin' thing.
Yeah.
Because I've always hated Alabama quarterbacks, but I'm just like, you know what? This guy, I kind of like him.
Yeah.
He seems to fit.
I mean, fan is short for fanatic.
Oh, yeah.
So it's...
We make it fit however we want to.
Yeah. You work backwards.
Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to talk ourselves into Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Trying.
I mean...
We weren't very positive on the free agency episode.
The only thing... I mean... Seahawks, it's got to be about defense this year.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we're locking people down just to give ourselves a chance to win some of these games. I don't expect offense to be glory.
Could be. I mean, we're not, the division's not
ball control.
Strong.
Kick some field goals.
Yeah.
Get a touchdown or two.
When we do the previews, especially for the Seahawks, I feel like I am going to be picking the over. I just feel like overall, I have just some faith in Mike Macdonald.
Yeah.
I told you about that poll or whatever. Mike Macdonald was the most favorable reviews of the players, the anonymous poll of the players or whatever.
Yeah.
I put a lot of stock in that. I put a lot of stock in that.
Yeah.
And because he coached a whole year to get it. He didn't just... it's not all on speeches.
Yeah.
He walked the walk for a year, and he's a young guy, younger than both of us.
I know. God, I'm sad.
Yeah. I think it's a Mike Macdonald thing. I'm just excited to see what he does.
And it's starting to be his team and not Pete's. I feel like last year was just, we were just left with the remnants. I feel like we're starting to build the team that Macdonald wants to see.
I like these first two picks. Yeah. I don't know about Milroe. I don't really know about any of the rest of it.
Yeah.
But I like Imanwari and Zabel.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're going to be fine.
Seahawks corner.
Yeah.
We should do that more often.
Right. We had to squeeze it in. We had so much hate there at the end. So
I don't know. I was more positive on Sheduer than I thought I was going to be. There's just a certain melancholy about myself after a weekend of just being like, like when Dylan Gabriel got picked, I was like, take that Sheduer, right? Take that Dion. But now I'm just like, I don't know.
It's just a sense of pity now. I'm just like, oh, dude, that sucks.
And that's the worst. I mean, you talked about Sheduer going to hell. He's now going to Cleveland as a pitied 5th round pick.
Yeah.
That's worse than hell.
With 5 quarterbacks.
Good God. He's got to talk to Joe Flacco, Deshaun Watson, Kenny Pickett
just
in Cleveland as a 5th round pick. That's hell.
Poor guy.
He probably thinks, I must have died, and this is hell.
He's like, can I go back to college for another year?
No,
please.
Look at those loopholes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be back sometime in the summer, team previews. But
we'll have a schedule up, and we'll start making picks. But, you know, it was nice to get the draft and free agency done. You know, now
2025's going.
Now everybody overrates every team. Yeah. Every team's about to win 10 games.
Start writing those previews and why that team's going to win 10 games.
Right?
All right, my name's Miles.
I'm Kirk.
A good night.